When my brother advised me to propose to my girlfriend. Suddenly, it's something like a live broadcast. A barrage of comments appeared before my eyes. The barrage was discussing. Supporting male lead. Don't propose to her. Your girlfriend was already stolen by your brother. They were just having a heated makeout session in the makeup room. Your brother is advising you to propose just to embarrass you in public. And then, look at our stunning villain, Anna. She's almost crying with anger. If you propose now, that night, you'll be taken to the basement by this Yandere Succubus to be drained dry. She can squeeze out 3 whole bottles. I was speechless. Anna was my ex-girlfriend. I abandoned her after a night of passion. The reason? I prefer young married women. Not girls like her. Chapter 1. An hour ago, I passed by the makeup room and saw my girlfriend, Willow, sitting on my brother Makoto's lap. Wearing a short skirt, Makoto smiled and held her close. Through the thin fabric, he provocatively tugged at her bra. He pinched Willow's chin and said, I encouraged George to propose to you tonight. You wouldn't be willing to refuse him, would you? Willow giggled and replied, if he hadn't taken care of me so diligently when I broke my leg 3 years ago, always ready to serve me and win over my mom, I would never have considered dating him. Well, put it this way, he's a warm guy, but to be blunt, he's just a simp. For these past 3 years, he's been honest. He hasn't proposed yet, but if he does, I'll break up with him right away. He's such a boring, unromantic guy. It'd be fine to get him to spend money on me, but imagining marrying him, honestly, that's terrifying. She thought for a moment and shivered. Makoto smirked, running his hand up her thigh. So I'm the one who's amazing, showing you all sorts of tricks. Willow blushed and gently hit his chest. The next second, Makoto pressed her head down and kissed her fiercely. That day, I sat in the storage room alone, processing everything until the party started. At the party, for the first time, I spaced out in front of Willow. I was holding a bouquet and a ring. The original plan was for me to propose to her tonight, because my brother Makoto had told me that he saw a tattoo on Willow's body, Wong. Wong is my last name. I got overly excited, but I almost forgot, Makoto also has the last name Wong. The barrage commented bitterly. Wait until the supporting male lead proposes to Willow and gets rejected. When he asks, but I saw the tattoo with my last name, she will mock him for being delusional. The tattoo refers to Makoto. Honestly, these two are so shameless. If they want to be together, just be together. They had to trick the supporting male lead into proposing and then make him embarrassed in front of everyone. He'll be the laughingstock of the party, unable to hold his head up for years. They just see the supporting male lead as a pawn in their game. It's so disgusting. The supporting male lead's brother is the male protagonist, so all of his luck is taken by him. I froze. So Makoto is the male protagonist. No wonder no matter what I had, he always took it. When I showed my mom the award for first place in the math competition, Makoto would immediately distract her to top up his game account, stealing all her attention. I have a talent for playing the cello, and when Makoto saw my teacher praising me, he insisted on learning too, but after years of lessons, he's still a beginner. I was supposed to participate in a cello competition with Makoto, and I prepared for months, practicing day and night, but on the day of the competition, my mom locked me in the house because I was scheduled before Makoto, and they worried he'd feel pressured. So they locked me in and didn't let me attend the competition. Even so, Makoto still messed up repeatedly at the competition, and to comfort him, my parents took him to a 5-star restaurant, forgetting about me. Locked up at home, I aced the college entrance exam and got into a prestigious school, while Makoto's scores didn't even meet the minimum requirement for college. When my parents refused to do interviews, I casually mentioned my rewards at home, and Makoto immediately cried. My mom slapped me across the face. They always said my brother was too kind, almost to the point of being foolish. I should pay more attention to him, be nicer to him, and never make him angry. Makoto does have some intellectual challenges, at least on the surface. He's the ultimate beneficiary, never having to fight for anything because others always fight for him. He knew I liked Willow from a young age, so he kept telling me, I'm so great, Willow will definitely marry you. Willow likes honest guys like you. You're perfect for her. But at the same time, behind my back, he had been dating Willow for I don't know how long. Seeing me spaced out, Makoto nudged me. What are you staring at? Go propose already. The barrage spammed. Haha, propose. As long as you do, she'll drain you dry tonight. Someone else said. Anna is already looking this way. Her gaze is like she wants to eat the supporting male lead alive. He better be careful, another person said. Sigh. Too bad the supporting male lead was so careless, mistaking Anna for Willow and kissing her. Someone else said. So he kissed her. Big deal. Then he said she wasn't good in bed and broke up with her. No wonder she went crazy and prepared a basement to lock him up. I glanced at Anna, swallowing hard. Chapter 2. Anna, the daughter of the Su family, a high society princess. I didn't tell anyone that I had dated her for a while. To be honest, My entanglement with her was all my fault, my own doing. To have a one-night fling with Willow. I drank late at night with Anna, and ended up drinking too much. After the party, Willow and Makoto wobbled home, leaving me behind. In my haze, I mistook Anna for Willow. Without thinking, I kissed her, and we ended up kissing all night. The next morning, Willow saw us in disheveled clothes and asked who she was. To test whether Willow would get jealous, I said, "This is my girlfriend." I could feel Anna's heart racing with excitement when she heard the word girlfriend. At the time, the lighting was dim, so Willow didn't clearly see Anna's face. Willow just said calmly, "Congratulations." I was speechless. Later, I left Anna a message, "Let's break up. Your kissing skills are awful, and you probably aren't good in bed either. I like young married women, not girls like you. I'm done with you." Then I walked away. My phone was bombarded with her messages. "You leave whenever you want. Are you even a man? I'll give you 1 hour. Come back to the apartment and we'll talk. Where are you? I'll come find you. Answer me. George, why are we breaking up? I don't want to break up. Is my kissing bad? I'm sorry. I'll practice. Please don't leave me." I read them all and ignored her, completely blocking and deleting her. So, of course, she hated me. I was indeed cruel to her. Makoto tugged at me and said, "George, why are you zoning out?" Then, he smiled at Willow and said, "Willow, George told me he has something to say to you. He whispered to me, everything's set up for you. Go ahead and propose." This was the drama they had carefully prepared for me. The stage was all set. As long as I proposed to Willow, she would pour cold water on me in front of everyone and say that the person she really liked was Makoto, telling me not to get the wrong idea. Because of Makoto's actions, the surrounding high society people, who had been drawn to the bouquet and engagement ring I was holding, grew silent and began staring at me. Anna also stopped talking, her gaze fixed on me, her fingers clenched, her brows slightly furrowed. Since the stage had already been set, it seemed like I had no choice but to propose. But in this situation, I was caught between a rock and a hard place. The barrage commented, supporting male lead, "Just get someone else to propose to the villainous Anna. Once you do, she'll willingly offer you her life. Yeah, just bow your head and propose. Who cares about the male and female leads? If the supporting male lead dares to propose to someone else in front of the villain, he'll probably be drained dry tomorrow." I found the barrage comments hilarious. The way I treated Anna back then. How could she possibly accept my proposal? She'd probably want to humiliate me in front of everyone, but I did wrong her. So, I was willing to give her the chance to get her revenge. I nodded and said, "I came here tonight to propose to someone." Seeing this, Makoto's smug grin grew wider. I slowly raised the bouquet and said, "The person I'm proposing to is..." Willow sneered and said, "You're proposing to me, you." Just then, I suddenly turned and shouted to Anna, "Anna, can I propose to you?" My sudden change of heart stunned the barrage. The barrage discussed, "Who can slap me? Am I seeing things? Did the supporting male lead really just propose to the villainous Anna? Shit, really? He's done for now." He once humiliated her about her kissing skills, and Anna hasn't forgotten all these years. He used that excuse to break up with her. Tonight, he's definitely getting drained. The next comment said, "The person above, if you can talk, say more." Anna stood still. I closed my eyes calmly. She definitely wouldn't accept. Seeing me propose to Anna, Willow's face immediately flushed red. She said, "George, what are you talking about? Apologize right now." I'm pretending I didn't hear this. Makoto rushed up, grabbing my arm and pushing me toward Willow, saying, "George, what's wrong with you? Didn't we agree that you'd propose to Willow tonight? Why are you harassing Ms. Sue? Do you really think you can climb that high?" I smiled and said, "I never planned to propose to Willow. I grew up with her. Even a rabbit wouldn't eat the grass next to its burrow. It's fine to date and have fun, but actually marrying her, that's terrifying." Willow looked at me in shock, as if she couldn't believe those words came from my mouth. Makoto said, "What are you talking about? Didn't you always say you liked Willow and would marry her?" I pretended to be confused and looked at him, saying, "Bro, what do you mean? I just saw you kissing Willow in the makeup room." Makoto's face went pale, then flushed red. He stammered, "It's not what you think." Everyone could see what was happening and immediately understood. People started gossiping. Someone said, "I've heard the second son of the Wong family isn't well liked in the Wong family, but I didn't expect it to be this bad." At the banquet, he was even schemed by his own brother. Another person said, "I can't even imagine what will happen if he really proposes." Someone else said, "But now, he's directly proposing to the longtime princess of the rich family, Anna. Isn't this just self-inflicted humiliation?" I heard the murmurs of the crowd, and my heart sank, but it didn't matter. I had toyed with Anna's feelings before, so being humiliated by her in public was just karma. Anna stared at me for a long time before finally extending her hand into mine. She gazed at me and said, "Well, Let's go home. I froze, instinctively pulling Anna outside. Willow's face suddenly changed, and she said, "Enough. George, stop pretending. Isn't it your lifelong wish to marry me? Are you playing hard to get now?" She snorted and said, "I won't fall for this. Sue, what he said earlier was all lies. He's a jerk. Don't believe him," the barrage commented. Looks like Anna's villain arc is about to progress. I think Anna was almost ready to let go of the past and live a peaceful life with the supporting male lead. But now, the chains in the basement are getting thicker. Supporting male lead, you better watch out. I was about to turn and argue with Willow, but Anna grabbed my hand. Her gaze icy. She said, "I haven't cursed him, so who are you to curse him?" Chapter 3. Anna didn't even wait to go home with me. As soon as we got into the car, Anna climbed onto my lap. My heart raced, and I felt an uncontrollable urge just as I was about to make a move. She said, "Do you think I'm still as easy to fool as before? You snap your fingers, and I'll eagerly throw myself at you." The barrage exposed her true nature. The comments mocked. Well, you really are easy to fool. You talk so harshly, but your body is being honest." I sighed and said, "Since you don't believe me, then just think that I never proposed to you. I'm leaving." The next second, Anna slapped me across the face. I was stunned. She said, "George, do you think I'm a nightclub? Come when you want. Leave when you want. I don't care where you think you're going. You've already proposed to me. You can't escape. How does it feel, having fun all these years while avoiding me? I've waited for you like a dog for so long." She bit my arm and took my hand, guiding it downward. "Feel this. This is how much I've wanted you. It's all your fault." The barrage went wild with excitement. "Oh, I've been waiting for this moment for so long." The supporting male lead getting drained is exactly what he deserves. Who told him to kiss the succubus and then throw her away? One of Anna's hands led mine, while the other hand secretly reached for the armrest. The barrage erupted. "Here it comes. Here it comes. The villain is going for the handcuffs." The villain has been carrying handcuffs all these years, just waiting for the right moment to cuff the supporting male lead and lock him in the basement. I was speechless. I suddenly felt a tightness in my back. At this rate, it seemed like I might actually end up in the basement. Just as the handcuffs were about to click into place, I gritted my teeth, made up my mind, and reached out to pull Anna into an embrace, kissing her lips. Maybe it was just my imagination, but I felt the temperature of the person in my arms rising rapidly. I sincerely explained, "I'm not leaving anymore. I'll stay with you from now on." I glanced at the handcuffs, regretting my past actions. "I know I've wronged you before. I admit it. You can punish me however you want." I closed my eyes and said, "As long as you're happy, I'm willing to accept the punishment." Anna tilted her head slightly, unobtrusively checking for signs of deceit on my face. When she saw the paleness on my face, her gaze softened, and she lowered her eyes. Then she straightened up and said to me, "Speaking of punishment, let's drive to my place. You should remember the address, right?" Chapter 4. Yes, I did live with Anna for 3 months. 3 years ago, when I realized I kissed the wrong person, my mind was a complete mess. Anna was full of tricks when it came to kissing. The next morning, I was dry-mouthed and dazed. At that time, Anna was very innocent. Her cheeks were flushed as she said, "Last night, you kissed me as soon as you got clothes. I didn't expect that you liked me so much. George, I'm your girlfriend now, right? If we're going to live together, should we stay at your place or mine? Why aren't you saying anything? Do you not want to live with me?" Never mind. Actually, I wasn't really that keen on living together. Who's the one excited about it? Why are you still ignoring me? Why the long face? You're not worried that living together will interfere with your pursuit of other girls, are you? Of course, I had a long face. I'd gone to great lengths to get Willow drunk, and in the end, I drank too much myself and kissed the wrong person. It wasn't bad enough that I kissed the wrong person, but this person turned out to be the most influential daughter of a wealthy family, one that my father couldn't afford to offend. I had to force myself to face it. I didn't dare tell her I kissed the wrong person. I felt like if she found out the truth, her father would peel my skin off alive. I stammered out an excuse. "No, we can't be together. We can't live together because I'm not good enough for you. You deserve better." Anna immediately laughed. She said, "I thought it was something serious. Why are you being so distant? You love me. I love you. That's enough, right?" In the end, we ended up living together, more or less by accident. But since it was all a misunderstanding, I found all kinds of excuses to refuse any kind of intimacy from her. We even slept in separate rooms. Chapter 5. At this moment, I walked nervously into Anna's house. Now that we're living together again, can it not be considered a return to the old haunts? Despite the 3 years that had passed, everything here was unchanged. The bedroom I once lived in was neat and tidy, and the flowers I used to care for were still thriving. Everything felt as if I had just left. I never expected she had been waiting for me to come back. I didn't know how to face her, so I made up an excuse and said, I'll go take a shower first. After showering, I came out in a bathrobe. The comments saying, wow, the male lead knows how to be considerate. Washing up first before joining the table, I rubbed my forehead. On the table was a cup of hot milk. It was Anna who had heated it for me. Just as I was about to drink, I saw the comments explode in excitement. Someone said, "This is my favorite scene. That hot milk is sure to have some special ingredients. The male lead will enter berserk mode after drinking it, and the female villain will start to suck him dry." In the book, the male lead turns into a skeleton within a week. Still doesn't know why he's so weak. Can't blame anyone for the revenge. The reason for the breakup was just too hurtful. I silently set the cup of hot milk down. From a distance, I saw Anna secretly doing something on the sofa downstairs. The comments went wild again. The succubus is secretly sniffing the flowers the male lead gave for the proposal. Totally obsessed. It's like the scent of her husband. She loves the flowers the male lead gave her so much. She's hiding them from him. Scared he'll know she's already forgiven him. How cute. This villainess is so tsundere. I suddenly jolted in fright. Flowers. Oh no. Sure enough, the next moment, Anna pulled a card out of the bouquet. The card said, "For Willow." Anna was speechless. I was speechless. The comments were speechless. The world hit mute, listening to Anna's heartbreaking. Damn, I totally forgot about that. My original plan was to propose to Willow, and of course the card in that bouquet was for her. The comments immediately caught on, saying, haha, this is it. The villainess's evil progress bar just maxed out. She was just being tsundere, sniffing the flowers her husband gave her, even wanting to show off in a post. And now the whole world's falling apart. I was already starting to think about how I could escape. Maybe it was some kind of connection. Anna noticed me staring at her, and her gaze fell on me. She pretended to be aloof and casually placed the bouquet down. Rolling her eyes, she said, "Never let me see you giving flowers to anyone again." I stammered, "Okay." I was about to go to my room when I suddenly heard the sound of a cup shattering in the living room. Anna was clutching her chest, seemingly in pain. Her voice full of mock annoyance. She said, "Can you help me and get the inhibitor from the bedroom?" Inhibitor? The comments sighed in unison. The succubus marked someone in her life and can never love anyone else again. For the past 3 years, she's been staring at the male lead's photo, thinking about him, and injecting inhibitors into herself. I had heard about this. The succubus phase is incredibly painful, so most would never mark someone lightly. It's like giving away your entire life. But I never expected she had marked me. Seeing how distressed she was, I didn't go to get the inhibitor. Instead, I slowly walked downstairs towards her. I said, "What do you need the inhibitor for? I'm right here. I already proposed to you, and you accepted. So tonight, we'll do whatever you want. I'll make sure you're satisfied." Her face turned completely red as she said, "Do you even know what you're saying?" I confidently replied, "What's there to not know? I've never seen a pig not run after I've seen one. Don't worry, I'm confident in myself. I'll definitely satisfy you tonight." I continued, "That bouquet was customized by my brother, and proposing to Willow was his idea, but I already regret it. I shouldn't have just run away and left you behind. I owe you a punishment." I pinned her against the wall and gently touched her succubus mark, saying, "Tonight, we're going all out. How about it?" I kissed her lips and, as expected, saw her earlobe subtly blush. The next second, she stood on tiptoe and kissed me back. Then, with a sultry look, she said, "George, you're asking for this." The next moment, her tail tightly coiled around my waist. She said, "Talking big won't work. Here's the deal. I'll give you a chance. You can run away now, but if you don't, even if you beg me, I won't let you go." I confidently laughed and said, "Who's going to beg? We'll see." That night, I thought about this sentence and wished I could slap myself. No one told me that a succubus could use magic to drain me for an entire night. No one told me that. By the end of the night, I was crying and trying to crawl away, but Anna grabbed my ankle and dragged me back. That night, I ultimately satisfied Anna's needs. It was just that my whole face felt sunken in. I even once cried out, "Why don't you use some inhibitors? We've got plenty of time." But she would rise and fall with a completely innocent face, saying those cruel words, "It's too late." This absurd and chaotic night, for some reason, felt incredibly long. Chapter 6. The next morning, I woke up groggily, and Anna was curled up in my arms. I quietly tried to pull my arm out from under her head, but I woke her up instead. She grabbed my arm, her eyes filled with a dangerous gleam as she asked, "What's wrong? Planning to run again?" I was speechless and stammered. No. She snorted coldly and said, "If you still think you prefer young married women, that's fine. Every night, I'll practice with you slowly until you're satisfied." The comments went wild, laughing hysterically and commenting, "Turns out, she really cares about that sentence. Can't blame her. Saying the succubus is bad in bed is just too hurtful." I nearly burst into tears, just wanting to beg her to let me off. At that moment, my phone rang. It was a call from Willow. To regain Anna's trust, I answered the call in front of her, asking, "What's up?" Willow paused for a moment and then said, "Why do you sound so weak?" I forced my tone higher and replied, "Get to the point." Willow snorted and said, "I know you're trying to propose to me. Stop playing these games of cat and mouse. It's not fun anymore. I'm willing to lower myself and marry you, but on one condition: you have to apologize to your brother. Yesterday, you embarrassed him in front of everyone, and now the whole world is insulting him. He's not like you. He's going to inherit the Wang group one day, and your actions are ruining the Wang family. Tonight, the Liu family is holding a banquet, and I want you to publicly admit that last night you lied about us because you were jealous of your brother. As long as you apologize in front of everyone, I'll agree to marry you." I was almost laughing in anger at Willow's logic. I said, "Are you out of your mind? Every word I said last night was true. Why should I apologize?" She replied in dissatisfaction, "George, you really are something. We're being cyberbullied to the point of depression, and it's all because of you. Don't you feel any guilt?" I gritted my teeth in anger, thinking about how I could curse her out. But then I had a thought: if they're going to treat people like this, it would be too easy just to insult them back. I should get back at them properly, ruin their reputations completely. So, I pretended to agree and said, "Fine, I'll go to the banquet tonight." Anna's expression darkened. I didn't notice when she had come closer, but her little tail had coiled around a place it definitely shouldn't have. I was speechless. Before Willow could sense anything strange, I hung up the call. Anna, upset, lunged at me and bit my shoulder, complaining, "What? Now that you're with me, you regret it and want to go back to her?" I was about to push her away, but then I saw the comments. Don't be fooled by how angry the evil female lead looks. She's actually super insecure inside. Her fingertips are trembling, afraid that her husband, whom she just got back, will leave her for someone else. Seeing this, I changed my gesture from pushing her away to hugging her close. I patted her back gently, reassuring her. "Who said I'm going to apologize? Do they even deserve it?" Anna's expression softened. I spoke slowly. "You're coming with me to that banquet tonight. After all, I owe you an official announcement." Chapter 7. Since I'm going to be living with Anna starting today, I left early to head home and pack my things. When I got home, my family was having lunch. The table was filled with dishes Makoto loved, just like any other day. It's kind of funny when I think about it. Everyone dotes on the youngest son, and here we are, with the roles reversed in our family. I quietly went into my room to pack. When I came out, my dad was drinking some light alcohol with Makoto, munching on peanuts. Seeing me, my dad reminded me, "Don't forget about the banquet tonight. Apologize to your brother in public and say you lied because you were jealous of him." What kind of look is that? You should do this. I know you've been dating Willow. She's the daughter of the Liu family, and she's got a good background, but you two just don't match. After the banquet, break up with her and let her go to your brother. Your brother is the heir to the Wang family, and a marriage with the Liu family would be more appropriate. I couldn't be bothered to argue, so I just kept stuffing things into my suitcase. Seeing that I didn't say anything, my dad immediately got upset. He stormed over and grabbed my shoulder, saying angrily, "Ungrateful brat, you're not even half as good as Makoto. I've raised you for nothing." Makoto slowly came over to play the good guy. He persuaded my dad to back off, trying to smooth things over. "Brother, what you saw that night wasn't real." Her eyes were full of dust, and I helped her with it. "It was just a visual distortion. You were seeing things." But when my dad wasn't looking, Makoto leaned in and whispered provocatively, "Don't get too full of yourself. Willow agreeing to marry you doesn't mean she likes you. She's just fulfilling my task. Willow loves me. We're the right match." "George, you're so pathetic. Everything you've cared about since childhood, I've taken it from you one by one. What's with that attitude? I get it now. You really think Anna is going to marry you? Heh, I've already told Sue Miss about your proposal to her yesterday. You did it just to make Willow jealous, didn't you? Just imagine. How do you think Anna will get back at you when she finds out? You won't have an easy time in this circle anymore." I didn't care. After all, Anna had already gotten her revenge on me last night. "It's nothing." I shoved him away and sneered, "No need to worry about that." Chapter 8. That evening, I wore a bespoke suit to attend the banquet. When Anna arrived, holding my arm, the place was already crowded. Anna was immediately surrounded by her friends. So, I quietly slipped away and retreated to a quiet corner by myself. A harsh voice came from behind. Someone said, "Ha ha ha, you really came." It was Makoto, dressed in a classic retro three-piece suit. This suit was originally left to me by my grandfather when he passed away, but when Makoto saw it for the first time, he said he liked it, and my dad took it upon himself to give it to him. It wasn't quite the right fit for him, but he wore it intentionally to provoke me. He looked me up and down, sneering, "I didn't expect you to actually show up. Seems like you really are that devoted. You'd do anything to marry Willow. Too bad." In her eyes, you're just a simp, agreeing to marry her just to fulfill my task. You should know your place. Don't fantasize about things that don't belong to you, don't you think? I smiled and replied, aren't you afraid I'll expose you in public? Makoto's expression changed. He said, you won't have the chance. Suddenly, he stepped closer and grabbed my neck with one hand. I stepped back and threw a punch right at his face. It didn't feel like I used much force, but he staggered backward and fell hard to the ground. Makoto gritted his teeth and glared at me, shouting, brother, really? You're accusing me of something? Why do you have so much hostility toward me? His loud voice attracted the attention of most of the guests at the banquet. Makoto. Willow shoved me aside and rushed over to his side. She helped him up, looking at me with utter disappointment and said, George, I know you've always been jealous of your brother. Fine. You spread rumors to slander him, but now you've even resorted to hitting him. Do you know how a big brother should act? You've gone too far. You need to apologize to your brother right now. My dad looked at me with disgust, his face filled with frustration as he scolded. You've always been at odds with Makoto. I've always known you coveted his position as the heir of the Wong family, but I never thought you'd go this far, betraying your own flesh and blood just to get rid of him. You're the most selfish, vicious person I've ever seen. I should have dropped you when you were born. Guests started whispering and pointing fingers at me. So it was the second son of the Wong family, trying to gain power by slandering his brother. At such a young age, his heart is already so wicked. What a disgrace to the Wong family. Anna walked over and linked her arm with mine just as she was about to speak. I turned around and interrupted her, saying, don't worry, I'll handle this myself. After a deep breath, I pressed the button on the remote control. The next second, everyone's attention was drawn to the large screen in the banquet hall. In the video, Willow was sitting on Makoto's lap in the makeup room. Makoto asked, I encouraged George to propose to you tonight. You wouldn't refuse him, would you? Willow giggled and said, if it wasn't for the fact that he patiently took care of me when I broke my leg 3 years ago, always at my beck and call, trying to win my mom over, I wouldn't have even thought about dating him. But, to put it nicely, he's a warm guy. To put it bluntly, he's just a simp. Over the past 3 years, he's been decent. He didn't propose to me, but if he ever does, I'll break up with him immediately. He's a boring, unromantic nice guy. It's fine to have him spend money on me, but marrying him, that's honestly terrifying. In the video, Makoto grinned and touched her thigh, saying, so I'm still the best, showing you all kinds of experiences. Willow blushed and lightly punched Makoto in the chest. The scene gradually became unbearable to watch. In an instant, the banquet hall was as quiet as if the pause button had been pressed. Willow's face turned pale. Makoto hurriedly yelled, who did this? Turn it off. The guests who had been whispering about me earlier now changed their tone. They all said, the second son of the Wong family really got unlucky. Having a brother like this. Makoto's a real scumbag. Stealing his own brother's girlfriend. That suit Makoto's wearing. I remember George's grandfather saying it would be left to George after he passed. I've been meaning to mention this for a while. People really can't be judged by appearances. The scene became chaotic. I couldn't help but feel elated inside. Fortunately, instead of feeling sad, I immediately recorded their compromising moment on my phone. Anna looked at me with admiration. You're amazing. I put my arm around her shoulder and asked, do you think what I did was too cruel? Anna shook her head and smiled mischievously. Actually, compared to my methods, you're still too kind. I had no words, truly, a Yandere Succubus. Willow screamed hysterically. George, you were behind all of this. How could you be so malicious? You're not even half of what your brother is. You'll never marry me in this lifetime. I sneered and said, Miss Liu, are you out of your mind? Is marrying you supposed to be something honorable? What's with all this? As if I'm desperately begging you to marry me. But I do have to thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have met Anna. I put my arm around Anna's shoulder and officially announced to everyone, let me introduce you to my fiancé. We still have a date tonight, so we'll be leaving now. The chat exploded with excitement. After waiting for so long, finally got a title. The Villainess has been waiting for this day for so long. I'm crying. I felt Anna shiver slightly. As we left the banquet hall, she couldn't wait to wrap her arms around my neck and kiss me. She buried her head in my chest and sighed softly. George, you're finally mine. Chapter 9. Later, I heard that Willow was kicked out of the Liu family for offending the Su family. I thought she would hate me for sure, but to my surprise, she actually came to find me. When she saw me, her eyes brightened for a moment. She asked, are you with Anna to spite me? I smiled and asked, where does your confidence come from? She looked at me seriously and said, I don't believe it. You've liked me for so long. There's no way you could just let go like that. You're lying to me, aren't you? Saying that, she stepped forward and grabbed my arm, but I pushed her away. I said, yes, I was wrong before. The mistake I made was chasing after you in such a humiliating way, without dignity. You enjoyed the kindness I showed you while secretly mocking me behind my back, calling me your simp. Willow, do you really think you're so noble? However, I'm willing to pay for my mistakes. Please don't show up in front of me again. I suddenly thought of something and smiled. I said, Willow, are you saying all this because you were expelled from the Liu family and now want me to ask the Su family for a favor? Are you begging for mercy? Her face instantly turned pale. As expected, I had hit the nail on the head. I kept poking at her wounds, saying, sorry, but not only will I not help you, I'll actually pour more fuel on the fire and make sure the Su family continues to target you. You probably still have some savings left, but don't worry, in a while, you'll have nothing left. Willow finally couldn't hold back her tears and choked out, George, how could your heart be so vicious? She blocked the door, unwilling to leave, and was eventually dragged away by the bodyguards, grumbling and cursing. After the Wang family offended the Su family, we fell from grace. My brother's reputation in the circle was completely destroyed. Willow held a grudge against him. Although they were still together under pressure, she nagged him every day, criticizing his incompetence and his inability to provide the life she wanted. Later, Willow, still unchanged, ran off to become a wealthy businessman's mistress. Makoto found out, and unable to tolerate it any longer, he stabbed her with a knife and was detained. But none of this concerned me anymore. After leaving the Wang family, I started a business in personal products and achieved success in both my career and love life. When I was developing the second batch of product designs, Anna gave me serious advice. That day, we tried the products for an entire evening. In the end, my conclusion was simple: don't waste most of your time on someone who doesn't love you. You should love someone who is already great in their own right.